Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mitchell with FF Real Talk, and we're through week 1 of the regular season. All the games are in the books, and we're ready to get moving with who you want to add before you go into week 2. Week 1 itself was pretty much predictable in terms of who turned out good numbers, but we got some duds that we wasn't expecting as well as some injuries that's really unfortunate and some high draft pick injuries. We'll get to some of those later. But like I say, week 1 was a really good week of football, and more importantly though, you got some performances that were big. It helped you probably win some leagues, and some of those big performances caused you to lose. But hopefully with some of the people I point out here, you'll be adding to your team to help fortify yours so that you're in the winning column if you wasn't in it in week 1. So just a little bit of my format and how I do this for all of those that are new listening. Every week I do 10 waiver additions that you want to get. Usually they're ranked my best to the least important in terms of who you would add, depending on position, obviously. But this week isn't going to be quite in order, but most of the times it's based on who I would recommend grabbing first if he's available. And I do it for anybody who's 60% or less owned, or anything 59% and less owned, rather. So these are players that's obviously out there in more leagues than they should be out there on, especially some of the top ones of these. So you're going to want to target them immediately. And we're going to get right into it. The first person that you should be grabbing off the waiver wire, if he's available in your league, is Will Fuller. This was my rookie target from the beginning. I mentioned him numerous times on Twitter, and he had just a magnificent first game. 5 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown on 11 targets. That's the big number, especially if you're in a PPR league. And his day could have been even better. If you saw the game, you saw he dropped a sure touchdown that he could have took to the house. And with the fact that he's only 58% owned, he should be 100% owned by Friday at the least. Do not waste time. Don't even question it. There is somebody on your roster, on your bench that you can drop for. So for all, and just before we move on, for all you people out there that own 2 kickers, that own 2 team defenses, that own 3 quarterbacks, I'm talking to you. All these people that you need to be adding in this list, y'all need to be cutting these extra bait that you don't need. And this happens to a lot of new players, and they don't really know some of the things that you should be doing. Your bench should consist of mostly receivers and running backs. Maybe your backup quarterback, yeah, that too. But other than that, you don't need 2 kickers under no circumstances. I don't care who they are. You don't need 2 defenses, really, because I'm the type that I don't care what defense I get in the draft, because I'm going to stream all year anyway. If I got a top-tier defense, I'm not going to cut that one, but you don't need 2 team defenses. But I digress. I just wanted to put that in there for all of you newbies that may not know better. That's my recommendation. The number 2 ad of the week, Tevin Coleman. If you watch the Atlanta game, it wasn't like he put on these spectacular numbers, but what was significant was that he looked a lot better, a lot sharper than Devontae Freeman. If you invested a first round, early second round pick on Devontae Freeman, and Tevin Coleman is available in your league, even more so than Will Fuller, he needs to be on your team yesterday. Don't waste time. Devontae Freeman, is something about this situation that doesn't look right to me. It's not about him. It's just about the fact, if you think back last year, they wanted Tevin Coleman to have this gig. He just got hurt. That's the reason why Devontae Freeman got the chance to run with it. And now that Tevin Coleman seems healthy, it looks like they're giving him a healthy complement of the carries and targets. Every Freeman owner needs to own him if you don't already. And if you do, try to make a trade for him, even if you got to give up a piece you don't want. You need him. Take my word for it. The number 3 pickup, Tajae Sharpe. Another 11 target guy like Will Freeman this past weekend. He ripped off 76 yards, 7 catches, and he's only 41% owned. This is Mariota's new guy. Mariota's going to be throwing a lot this year. And I was thinking it was going to be so much more the Delanie Walker thing, and it's going to be that. But Delanie Walker's going to be locked in. They're going to be covering him real well because the scouting report is out on him. Tajae Sharpe is going to shake loose. He's going to break it. He might even end the year better than Fuller, better than Sterling Shepard, etc. This is a person you want to own, and right now, 41%, right? He's probably sitting on your wire. He shouldn't be after tonight. Do it. Get him. Number 4, Jameis Winston. He happens to be my backup quarterback in my fan league, and he happened to score 5 more points than my starting quarterback in that league, which is Cam. I told you guys in my quarterback rankings video that I had a feeling about Jameis. It's something about that look in his eye. Everything I'm seeing interview-wise, everything I'm seeing sideline report-wise, or even just some video footage that was showing of him talking in the locker room, that dude seems fired up, and it showed in his play. 4 touchdowns, nearly 300 yards. Here's the thing. You might want to tread carefully this week because they're playing Arizona, good defense. So you might not want to start him this week, but if he's out there, and he's out there in a ton of leagues, I don't know his percentage offhand, but it's more than not. He's more than likely he's not owned. This needs to be your backup. I'd rather have him than a load of quarterbacks out there that are probably even owned in your league. So consider it for all those that lost RG3 for the year, for all those, if you owned RG3, which I don't know why, all of these people that's holding Dak Prescott and all this other craziness, this is who you need to have. Take my word for it. Number 5, Mohamed Sanu. We've seen this before. Back in Cincinnati, he was doing this to fill in for people when they were injured, when AJ was injured or whatever have you. He's a person that can rip off big numbers. This is nothing new. But he does it in an unassuming fashion, not too flashy or anything like that. And just like that, he ripped off 80 yards and a touchdown. But the one thing that's a problem is just like Julio, right now, he came away in this game with an ankle injury and apparently he was limping pretty bad in the locker room. We're going to need updates on this, but again, you have somebody that you could be cutting bait with. Now, before we even move on with the list, when I talk about cutting bait, for all y'all that have Adrian Peterson, he got 3 points. Don't get so panicked about your number 1 pick and cut him. Even like with Gary Barnidge, who got nothing, don't cut him just yet. We lost RG3. We're going to get Josh McCown back. That's going to be great for Gary Barnidge's numbers. Don't panic on the number 1 pick you got. Now, I know Jamal Charles is going to be hitting the waivers this weekend. And if so, you might want to put a claim in for him just dependent. But don't panic on these picks that you took early just because they didn't turn out this week. And for all of those savvy players, be watching the waiver wire for those newbies or for those cats that ain't thinking to pluck and get these guys that people are cutting early. That's the time right now is when you're checking out for people who overreact and underreact. So keep that in mind. But as I was saying, with Mohamed Sanu, this is another person that you want to grab because Atlanta, this is going to be a Roddy White type situation. Somebody's got to compliment the fact that Julio is going to be doubled, bracketed all game, and Mohamed Sanu is going to be taking advantage of it if his ankle is fine. Travis Benjamin. Like Sanu, you've seen his talent on display before on his prior team, and Benjamin's being the Browns. But in this case, it's not about opportunity. It's not about the lack of opportunity or being on a team like the Browns. Rather, it's about injury. Keenan Allen went out for the rest of the season with a bad tear, and it's so unfortunate. I feel bad for Keenan Allen. It happens to him way too much. But Travis Benjamin is going to be assuming the number 1 role. The number 1 role in a Phillip Rivers ran offense is heavy. So It might not turn into, because he doesn't have the talent like Keenan Allen, it might not turn into immediate success, but you want the number one receiver on any team. And on a Phillip Rivers team, even more so. That's somebody you definitely want to grab. Dwyane Allen is number 7. Who's pissed off about tight end this week? A lot of people. I mentioned it a few minutes ago, ask any Gary Barnidge owner or any DFS player who fell into the Jared Cook trap, or some seasonal players played Jared Cook as well. Never again. But anyway, back to Allen. I've been saying for months that Dwyane Allen sans Coby Fleener is a very good option. He had the second most fantasy points among tight ends, but with 6 targets, albeit the fact that he's being spread around in target-wise by T.Y. Hilton, Dante Moncrief, and Philip Dorsett, I like Allen's chances because 6 catches with all them guys around, there's going to be a lot of that. Andrew Luck throws the ball way too much for him to not count for something, and Allen has had success. I mentioned him in the tight end video before the preseason. This is why. Grab him. Number 8, Brock Osweiler. Now, this is one of those situations where I was wrong. I was skeptical about him coming in. I didn't see enough from him in Denver that warranted anything else. And because of that, I had warned people against Hopkins, because taking Hopkins so early, rather, not against taking him in the late first round and early second round. Obviously, I was just saying him being among those top 5 picks. I was trying to warn against that. But it's something about the way he conducts himself in that offense. It seems like he has the locker room. It seems like he's got their ear, or maybe it's just the emergence, not emergence. He's a rookie, but the acquiring of Will Fuller. Maybe that's what's making him look good. Either way, for all you Tyrod owners who are gonna suffer now because of the Sammy Watkins injury, which I have a feeling is going to last the rest of the year. For all of y'all, this is a person that you might want to target if Jameis Winston is gone. Right now, I'd rather have Osweiler over Mariota. I'd rather have him over Fitzpatrick. I'd rather have him over Tyrod, obviously. I'd rather have him over Matt Ryan and Tannehill, just to name a few. There's something about the energy of this team. So he's definitely the quarterback to look for behind Jameis if you're talking about pickups. Number 9, Eric Ebron. One of only 4 tight ends this week that had double-digit fantasy points. Now, that's not going to be every week with tight ends, but tight end is one of the least dependable positions for fantasy points, especially among the offensive positions. Besides kicker, it is the most non-dependable. But with this Stafford-led offense tailored by Jim Bob Cooter, everybody's a beneficiary. And now that he's seemingly healthy, which has always been the problem that's hindered him, everyone should be turning to him if they've got problems at the tight end position. He's going to have a lot to give this year, and anybody who owns him is going to be the beneficiary of that. I know I'm going to be targeting him in certain leagues, so definitely keep an eye out on him. And number 10, surprisingly, Mike Wallace. Y'all remember Mike Wallace? The Antonio Brown without the work ethic? Actually, arguably the best receiver in the NFL, what seems to be a century ago, who was the number 1 option of the Steelers when Antonio Brown was number 2 and Emmanuel Sanders was number 3. Looks like he's still alive, folks. But the thing is, on Baltimore, he basically assumes Torrey Smith's old role. It could very well be just a lightning strike where it's a home run threat, a one pat, he get 3 catches a day and one of them be a 70-yard touchdown. Or he could be somebody who gets a number of targets and a number of catches. I don't know yet. But when he's in a situation that works and when his head's on straight, there's no denying his ability. So keep a lookout on him. And if you've got wide receiver problems, and it's funny, in these lists, especially early on in the early parts of the season, wide receivers are what break out first in terms of waiver grabs. Running backs tend to start, the ones you want to grab, they start to happen around week 3, week 4. But wide receivers pop off immediately. So you want to be in early on these guys who show themselves. So just take a look at Mike Wallace if you don't add him. He's definitely someone to take a look at, or even add, depending on your roster and depending on your league size. And I got 6 honorable mentions. I'm just going to say them by name. Tyrell Williams of San Diego. This is going on with the situation with Keenan Allen going out. He's going to be looking like number 2, possibly number 3 option behind, could be Dontrelle Inman, depends on which one. Also, Cole Beasley. The reason why I like Cole Beasley is the one to consider. He was actually about to be my number 10 ad, but Dak is going to need him as a check down. That's all Cole Beasley is a possession receiver. He got a ton of targets this week, among the top 5 receivers in targets. That's not going to change. Dak is filling out this offense. Cole Beasley should be somebody you keep a heavy eye on. Number 3, I just mentioned him, Dontrelle Inman. He could be either 2 or number 3 in this San Diego situation with the loss of Allen. Jeremy Kerley with San Francisco. It looks like Blaine Gabbert has some rapport with him, so it's somebody you want to also look at. Jamison Crowder with Washington. I love what I saw with him last year, and he was actually in a lot of action the other day. So Kirk Cousins likes him. That means I like him. And Victor Cruz. It was good to see Victor break something out. That was real good to see. It looked like he's energetic, and it looked like he got the monkey off his back. So if another situation where I wouldn't necessarily grab this week, I think he's going to be popular because of name, but definitely keep an eye on it. He's the number 3 option in New York now at best, but someone to keep an eye on. Yeah, the video ran a little long today, but again, I had to give out a few little tidbits for some newbies and this, that, or the other or even some of you experienced guys to think about on this first waiver ads of the new year. So hope that helps you guys. Follow me on Twitter, spread the word. You can leave comments rather here. Give me a thumbs up, let me know you like the video. And if you got any questions, you can ask them down here, or better yet, ask me on Twitter is the best way to reach me. So good luck with week number 2, and we'll see you next week. Y'all have a good one. All right.